I was an immature 20-year-old freshman who thought he knew everything. When I started my wrestling career at Ithaca College, I envisioned myself winning a national title and had all the tools to do so. However, as the years went on, I continued to fail over and over again in attempts to winning a championship. My sophomore year, I even had the first seed at the tournament. Unfortunately, my ego began to cloud my reality. I thought I was so good that I didn't have to keep training hard, getting in the extra workouts, continue dieting, etc. I thought I could go out drinking the week before the biggest tournament of my life and still walk through it with ease. Well, I'm here to tell you, it doesn't work like that. I lost first round and ended up not even placing that year. I did All-American my junior year, and that was a great accomplishment, one that I'm very proud of. However, looking back, I wish I knew what I do now. If so, I would have accomplished that goal of being crowned a national champion, which has been a goal of mine since I was 4 years old when I began wrestling. And I failed. If you take anything away from this, please try to understand that your ego is the first hurdle you have to conquer in accomplishing your goals. Not doing so will only result in failure. After 4 years of being a student athlete at Ithaca College, I had accumulated a career record of 87 wins and 17 losses, All-American honors, as well as academic All-American honors. Don't get me wrong, I was proud of what I accomplished, but this was the first time that I had not accomplished a goal of mine, becoming a national champ. And let me tell you, it left a very bitter taste in my mouth. However, my wrestling career had ended, and I could not change what had happened. All I could do was learn from it. I moved back home with my girlfriend and best friend Miko, and it wasn't long before we acquired a little brother for Miko. His name was Kato. I started working for a paving company, and it wasn't long before that bitter taste began to come back. My college career was haunting me. I decided it was time that I transitioned to MMA. However, this time I wasn't going to make the same mistake. I wasn't going to let my ego get in the way of me accomplishing my goal of becoming a world champ. I wrote down a mission statement and set it as my background on my phone so I saw it every day. It stated, I, Derek Brennan, vow to relinquish the control my ego has over me. Each day I will strive to become better by helping others become better and surrounding myself with people on the same mission I am. I will never be outworked, outclassed, or outdone. This is my promise to myself. After just 1 year of training and competing, I had accumulated a 6-0 amateur record and won my pro debut. Everything seemed to be going as planned. However, on December 8th of 2014, all that changed. I had made one of the most critical mistakes of my life to date. I drank and drove and paid the price. I had never been more embarrassed. I was angry at myself and soon fell into a depression. I lost interest in fighting and began to relapse. This led to a landslide of problems, and the depression worsened. My girlfriend left me. I had to surrender my license, sell my truck to pay for the lawyer, fines, court fees. I had to move back home and live in my parents' basement. I had nothing. No money, no girlfriend, no job, no motivation to better the situation. It finally happened. I had hit rock bottom. After the DWI happened, life hit me harder than anyone has ever hit me in the cage. I wasn't sure what to do. I had such high aspirations, and once again I slipped up. After a few months of doing nothing but numbing myself to the reality of the situation, I received a phone call from my coach at the time concerning an opportunity to move to Coconut Creek, Florida and train at the world-renowned American Top Team gym. I'll admit, I was hesitant at first. This meant I had to leave the one thing that I did have, my family. God bless them. However, I knew continuing to just mope around in misery wasn't going to help my situation either. So I packed up 3 duffel bags and headed south. Throughout my time training at Top Team, I met some of the best fighters in the world. Guys like Nick Lentz, Rasad Bektik, Hector Lombard, Dustin Peori, the list goes on and on. I was also able to learn from some of the best coaches in the world. Guys like Billy Patton, Chuck Eisen, Ken Morris, and quickly began to improve my technique. I had put in nearly 5 months of training before I got the chance to get back in the cage. And all that training paid off. I won with a first round KO. Then a few months later, I clinched a win over a very tough opponent in a 30-27 decision. Even with all this success inside the cage, I was struggling outside the cage with my financial situation. It's no secret that the beginning stages of fighting doesn't end with big paydays. Just like any industry, you have to prove your worth. I began to struggle with paying loans and was left with no choice but to ask mom and dad for money. Having to do this didn't sit well with me. I'm a 25-year-old and I should be able to provide for myself, and I couldn't. Then, on December 5th, 2015, I received a phone call from my dad concerning Cato. He wasn't with us anymore. He unexpectedly passed away. And for those of you who know me and my love for my pups, this hit me extremely hard. I couldn't do it anymore. I packed my bags and went back home. I quit. After having spent nearly a year in Florida away from family and friends, living on next to nothing, and losing Cato, my spirit had finally broke. I was very frustrated with my circumstances because I had done everything in my power to make it work. And yet, it still seemed to fall apart on me again. I needed to be home with my family. I needed their support once again. As always, they encouraged me to not give up, keep pushing, and things would get better. It took a solid 4 months before I started to make a turnaround. I still wasn't sure if I wanted to continue my MMA career or just settle for what I had already accomplished. Over the course of the next few months, I had started working for the paving company again and was reminded quickly how much passion I had for MMA and competing. I was flooded with support from friends and fans telling me how awesome it was to see what I was doing and how it inspired them to do better in their own lives. My family was also chiming in my ear about getting back to the grind and achieving what I had set out to do originally. To see how many people were inspired by what I was doing, mixed with my burning passion for this goal, I was back at it, and this time I had a much better plan. I learned from my last mistake. Without enough money saved, fighting would never be possible. So, I sacrificed an entire year of fighting to work and save up as much money as possible. Then, at the end of the year, I would move and train at another high-level gym. After working 15 to 16-hour days for 9 months, I had put away enough money to give me a good head start on chasing the dream once again. It was hard leaving this time. I had developed quite the relationship with my nephew Gannon. He's a huge influence on me now. I can see he watches my every move. I want to be one of his influences when he grows up. I couldn't be a quitter. What would that teach him? So, in early December, I booked a plane ticket and headed west.
Get your feet out of your mouth. Hi. Get your feet out of there. Get them out of here. I'm tough.
I'm tough.
Say it.
Tough.
Say I'm tough.